Hello and welcome everyone. We're very happy to have you here with us to launch the World Hunger Day 2024 campaign. My name is Anna Slattery and I'm the Manager of External Affairs at the Hunger Project, and I'm the campaign lead for World Hunger Day this year. I'm very excited that I have with me Tim Prewitt, the President and CEO of the Hunger Project, and Grace Chikowi, the Country Leader for the Hunger Project Malawi. The Hunger Project is a global nonprofit focused on creating a world without hunger. Our work focuses on transforming the systems of inequity, like gender discrimination and poverty, that keep hunger in place in rural communities around the world. In 2023, our programs reached over 12 million people in Africa, Latin America, and South Asia. In 2011, we founded World Hunger Day to bring attention to the most pressing issues in the fight to end world hunger. Since then, World Hunger Day has grown into a global day of significance, commemorated by hundreds of organizations and corporations and individuals around the world. Last year, the campaign reached an estimated 2.5 million people and was covered by a number of global media outlets. This year, I'm very proud to present the 2024 World Hunger Day theme is Thriving Mothers, Thriving World. With this theme, we are calling attention to the importance of investing in maternal and child nutrition in order to break the cycle of hunger. So now I'm going to turn it over to Tim Prewitt, the President and CEO of the Hunger Project, to share a bit more about malnutrition globally and how it contributes to chronic hunger.
Thanks, Hannah, and thanks everybody joining in on this. World Hunger Day is an important day, not only for us, but for millions around the world. And when we look at this issue in greater detail, what we see is just how malnutrition affects every single country in the world. United States, Malawi, worldwide. People have too much food in some cases that don't have the right nutritional content, or they don't have enough calories, full stop. So there's a variety of challenges out there, and as such, we have many different solutions. But one thing's for sure, malnutrition around the world is going up. It's being driven by conflict, climate change, and economics. The cost of food is going up. According to the latest Status of Food Security and Nutrition report, there's more than 3.1 billion people in the world, 42%, that's getting close to half of the planet, that are unable to afford a healthy diet. Now that data is from 2021, and we know this is getting worse. When we talk to the World Health Organization, the World Bank, the UNICEF, our partners, what we see is that children in particular are struggling. In South Asia and Africa, they are most likely to be stunted or too short for their age. Children in these two regions, South Asia and Africa, make up 95% of the global share of children that have stunting. Now, stunting, it's a form of malnutrition. It causes developmental delays, mental delays, and it weakens immune systems. So what happens to these malnourished children? They do poorly in school. They earn less as adults, and there's a cycle of hunger that's generational, and it's hard to break. And that's why at the Hunger Project, we call so much attention to this important issue, and we work tirelessly to change it. And I'm really thrilled you're going to get to talk to Grace today in Malawi to hear a little bit more about that. And of course, when you have this chronic hunger, when you have this cyclical challenge, you see the devastating impact and the long-term issue, even in some regards, a national security issue, an economic issue that is very deeply entrenched. And I've got to mention, this has an outsized impact on women and girls. And again, our theme is directed at this important gender aspect related to hunger and malnutrition. So when food is scarce, many families around the world choose to feed their sons first. Girls and women eat last, and they eat the least. According to UNICEF, 1 billion adolescent girls and women suffer from malnutrition today. And again, South Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, home to 68% of adolescent girls and women who are underweight and 60% of adolescent girls with anemia. That's a sign that there's malnutrition going on. So there's two reasons this is particularly concerning. One is the malnutrition will widen that gender gap in schools, as I mentioned earlier, in workplaces, in the economy. It perpetuates the gender divide in all sorts of areas. And second of all, malnutrition has very negative effects on pregnancy. A malnourished woman is at a very high risk of complications. And as her baby grows, if she is unable to get the nutrients that she needs, then the baby will struggle and will struggle to thrive after the baby's born. Malnourished women also struggle with breastfeeding, and in many cases, the cost of formula is prohibitive, and clean water even can be a challenge in some communities. For us, we pay a lot of attention to the first 1,000 days of life. This is a crucial period for babies to build the foundation of their lifelong health. And too often, mothers are grappling with malnutrition and they're unable to give the children everything they need. Well, okay, with that good news, there's a lot of doom and gloom here, I know, but the good news is that we know what works. We know as a planet how to solve this. And we at the Hunger Project have specific expertise in this, and we're delighted to share it with you. Our expertise is with people like Grace that you're about to meet. It's local and on the ground, and hopefully gives you information that's helpful to you guys. So by making the right investments in nutrition of women and girls, we're able to break the generational cycle. Let's pass it over to Grace now. She's our country leader in Malawi. She's going to give us a little more insight into the state of malnutrition in her country and what it looks like when we make some of those investments. Grace?
Hi, hello everyone. So my name is Grace Chikowi, as Tim mentioned. I'm a country leader for the Hunger Project in Malawi. I'm also a trained nutritionist, having worked for so many years with a referral hospital in one of the referral hospitals in our country as a nutritionist, trying to treat malnutrition amongst children and their mothers as well. Having worked there for so many years, I decided to take a shift instead of treating malnutrition to preventing malnutrition, and I decided to work with the rural communities under the Hunger Project. Recently, reports in Malawi indicate that 22% of our population are food insecure. And we all know that food insecurity is an underlying cause of malnutrition. And this puts a higher rate of malnutrition amongst children. And that's why we're talking of addressing malnutrition amongst children and their mothers as the theme for this year. Malnutrition affects mental and physical development of the children. We need to invest in the next generation. The children today that are suffering from malnutrition and hunger are our next generation. For us in Malawi, climate change and weather uncertainty have been the major drivers of food insecurity. Throughout the country, we are experiencing an unpredictable flooding and droughts, which is devastating in terms of the harvest that we expect as a country. The Hunger Project here in our country is addressing malnutrition using two approaches. The first one is that we are working with communities or farmers to plant drought-tolerant crops during the dry spells, to leverage irrigation to take advantage of the excess water we are seeing after the rains have just stopped. Additionally, we work with them to plant diverse crops so that they can support their household nutrition. I will tell you a story of one Miss Jakaza. Before she started working with the Hunger Project, she faced persistent hunger in her household. And season after season, she could not harvest enough. she could always go hungry and her children would always suffer malnutrition. Sometimes they would get admitted for treatment for so many months before they get back home. Until when she heard about the Hunger Project and joined the irrigation scheme with the partnership that we have with African Parks, we decided to put up solar-powered irrigation. In her participation in this, she's able to harvest about 12 bags of maize in a year. And this is enough for her to feed her grandchildren and herself for the whole year until she has the next harvest. She's very inspired with the nutrition animators that are within her community, and they're able to train her on skills how to prepare meals that are nutritious and diversified. And because she needs a diversified diet, apart from just growing maize, which is our staple, Ms. Chakaza also grows other crops like sweet potatoes and especially orange fresh sweet potatoes. She grows vegetables, she grows fruits and many other crops so that she is able to diversify her diet and meet her nutrition requirements. Our second approach is working with women by promoting access to healthy services. One of our approaches is that we understand, like Tim just said, to say we need to address malnutrition in the first 1,000 days. So we help the women to access their antenatal care services by having access to healthy services within their communities. And then they also take their children for growth monitoring and all the care that they require. At community level, we have what we call care groups, and these care groups are organized in such a way that women come together to discuss issues relating to nutrition. So they have different modules which they will discuss, be it for children that are breastfeeding, like below the age of 6, and then they will discuss complementary feeding after the child is above 6. And then they'll keep discussing different diets depending on the needs of a human being, like the human cycle. We also particularly focus on pregnant women diet as well as women that are breastfeeding. How can they meet their nutritional requirements and how can they prevent malnutrition? So you would see that preventing malnutrition in the early stages of life is very important. It helps us to prepare the children for the future. We set them up for success because they are mentally prepared to engage in development. They're prepared to fight poverty. They're prepared to fight hunger because they have been well taken care of. This is there are a lot of stories I would talk about in terms of the impact that we have seen, the changes that we have seen in the communities that we work with, and the outcomes of the investment that we make in addressing malnutrition is immeasurable, and it really impacts generations. So we must address malnutrition before we can achieve any sustainable development goals. An investment in addressing malnutrition is not just an investment for the moment. It is an investment. It is truly an investment for the future thriving world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Tim, for providing some insight into the topic and into the issue. Like Grace mentioned, we have a lot of success stories that we would love to share throughout the campaign. They are coming from Africa, from South Asia, from Latin America, and we are really hoping to elevate the voices of the women who've lived through this and who are now feeding their children a healthy, nutritious diet, thanks to what they've learned in partnership with the Hunger Project. So to dive into the campaign, our goal with this is to really raise awareness about global hunger and the ways that we can break the cycle of malnutrition. We aim to bring together the many stakeholders that work in this space. There's government institutions, private businesses, there's social media influencers who are promoting healthy nutrition for moms and babies. And we believe that everybody has a role to play in raising awareness about this. We also know that this theme has a lot of resonance with a lot of different audiences around the world, since it is a universal issue, like Tim mentioned at the top. Malnutrition is affecting every single country in the world. So for members of the media, the Hunger Project has a number of experts available with on-the-ground experience preventing malnutrition in the regions I mentioned earlier, Latin America, South Asia, and Africa. We are very happy to set up interviews with our country leaders, with our program officers, and we could even make some community volunteers who are working in this space available. Please reach out to media@thp.org to learn more and get something set up. As I mentioned, we also have a lot of stories and photos from the many Hunger Project programs available to support stories and articles. A full media kit will be available after this call on worldhungerday.org, and we will send it directly to everyone who is here now or registered to attend. So on social media channels, there are two primary ways that people can engage with this campaign. The first is to share nutritious recipes that support maternal and child nutrition. This is an area that we believe a lot of the social media influencers will get excited about and hope that we can partner with them in this space to elevate this topic to new audiences. The second way people can get involved is to share words of encouragement for parents that are expecting, breastfeeding, or just trying to get something more nutritious than crackers into their toddlers. I'm fully in this camp. If you have words of encouragement, please send them my way too. These letters are going to be compiled and shared widely. So we really hope to get a lot of stories coming in from around the world that could help parents navigate this very tricky time. Finally, there's a social media toolkit available at worldhungerday.org that has a customizable templates to share and become a champion for the day. So we're looking forward to working with many of you over the next few months to make this the largest World Hunger Day yet. So please reach out if you are interested in getting something on the books. Again, the email address is media@thp.org. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time and hope to hear from you soon.